people, sometimes I've even experienced with, we'll do drain cover for you from your house to the main, like that. And when I had a problem, and no, we can't do it because you can't identify where the water starts. I can tell you where it is. You've got to take all that bush away. It's under there. Oh, we won't do that. And there's always a clause or reason why they can't do it. But they've sold you the policy. Well, you're covered now until you're uncovered. Now, with your work you're doing, have you ever thought of doing like talks, like the TED Talks or TEDx Talks as well, to open that up, where you're hitting a bigger audience, obviously through Facebook, YouTube, or those sort of things? Because you've got a knowledge, you can share it, and probably the best way these days, they say, to be honest with what you're doing and be open with what you're doing, and that's what obviously you would do. And I think that would be your biggest marketing ploy. And it's not a ploy, it's you are who you are, and you're saying, why didn't you do this?
I would be open for something like that, because up until recently I was more focused on my professional employment career. I was looking to get back into employment because I wanted to shift. I was working in consulting and I wanted to shift into active investment management. But fortunately, only recently I started, coming back to my book and thinking of what I know and thinking, of entrepreneurial ideas, and speaking to some of my friends involved with online businesses and entrepreneurship, and I'm interested again, and I'm back, using social media to.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Good, because listening to you talk, you're selling it as a fact, and it's an honest fact rather than a hidden agenda. And I thought you'd be really good on TEDx, TED Talks, whichever channel you went down, or even YouTube. Because that gets the hit. And these days, people are fed up with dishonest people, and there's lots of people who are actually being plainly, confident and honest, and their products are sold on the back of that person. Because they start to believe in that person, because most people they don't believe in anything because they've been tricked so many times. If they see one man or one woman that stands up and says, well, actually I can do this and this is why I'm doing it, and they explain the whole process, then your business is going to work. And
I just have this strong urge to bring up this point that popped in my head. What is the fundamental, why are we doing this? Why are we talking about this? And why finance and why savings? If you think of it, ultimately, finance, people's financial well-being has such an impact on happiness and quality of life and spiritual peace and being at ease. And I'm sure some of your audiences are interested in living a good life, a good quality of life, a healthy life. And if you look at the prospect of having your house taken away from you, or going bankrupt, or being fired and your salary payments stopped, I think it's one of the biggest stresses in life.
Well, it's like the rat race, the wheel turning all the time, and I can sort of relate to that. I mean, I'm on a fifth of the salary I was before. It was all the flash company cars, you did consultancy, you did this, you did that. It was a real ego buzz. And now I'm on less than that, a real lot less than that. I can still make that money go farther because I've looked at what you've talked about in your book. And rationalise things, and it works, and I still can go for the odd holiday in bits and pieces, and I'm happier now than when I was on big salaries. And I think it's the quality of life, it's that balance in life, because there's so many people that will strive so hard for a company that doesn't really care too much about them, because you'll still hit the bottom line all the time. If you do it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you retire, what have you got after that? Probably poor health. And you need to start living now, not when you retire with your pension. I can't wait until I retire my pension. Well, you might not be well enough, and you might not even have enough money. So why not look at it now and be practical? You're saving the company, if you're working for a company, money. Why don't you do it for yourself? Be your own company, still work for them, but start investing in what you want in life.
I have this understanding or idea that nowadays it's the most dangerous time to be out of a job or to come across financial misfortune, because let's say 100 years ago, 150 years ago, people had extended families, communities were closer, so you could fall back on that. I'm not going to say health service was perfect, and government services, public services were great, they weren't. But you had probably your extended family, your tribe, your neighborhood, and people looked out for each
Yeah.
other. If you were hungry, you know, you'd probably be invited to eat at a
Yeah.
family member's table or at the neighbour's house.
Yeah.
And then, say 50 years ago, as I mentioned, you had companies and public institutions look after your retirement. So society became more individualistic, but you knew that with your partner, you know, if you both worked, you both have pensions,
Yeah.
and the price level during those times was much lower than it is now, relative to your salaries and
Yes.
relative to your pensions. So you could afford things, and you could you know, put in your work and then retire peacefully,
Yes.
happily, and afford to live.
Yeah.
Whereas now,
The
the
option
price
is taken
level
away,
is
isn't
through
it?
the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you compare, you know, any ratio really, food, property, travel, oil, compared to the average salary, you're
Yes.
going to see that it's huge. The
Yes.
ratio is huge, and you don't have, you know, we're in an individualistic society now, so you don't really, maybe not all people can fall back on family or neighbours.
It does become very isolated, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, westernized families tend to be very insular. Sometimes Eastern families or Asian families do support each other, which is a culture that's fantastic. But we all think, oh, I'm Englishman's got his castle and I'm fine. I don't need anyone else. But they often do, and they don't have that fallback. Quite clearly, they don't.
Yeah, yeah. So in a world where prices are very high relative to salaries, and you know, you lose your job, for example, the company's not even going to look after your retirement.
No.
So it's a very...
And it's a ticking time bomb, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
if you're not paying your mortgage the first month, oh, I've lost my job. Second month, third month, they're on your back, and fourth month, you might not even have a house.
Yeah.
So it needs people like yourself to get there and sell a real product, because the people I also deal with who are on their probably 70s, 80s and 90s, they missed that. They had all that protection, they had all that support, and they're on good pensions, and the companies invested well, the big oil companies invested in their people well, and then big multinationals did, and they are really good salaries from their pensions.
Yeah, yeah.
But these days, no, you don't get that.
Yeah, I think it would be acceptable if salaries nowadays were high enough.
Yes.
For current consumption and also contributions in pensions.
Yeah.
Then that would be fine with the right advice and, you know, with the right education. You could invest in a respectable pension fund.
Yeah.
And consume in the present and be fine. But if you look at salaries, you compare them to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they haven't nudged up. If anything, they've got, and don't forget, inflation's been going up all this time, year on year.
Yeah.
So your spending power, your purchasing power has been weakening.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important. I don't know how it will end though, because it doesn't seem like it's an indefinite process.
No, it's almost like a process of destruction, isn't it? In some ways,
it's got to end somewhere. It's not going to end nicely if it continues like this.
But if people listen to the words in your book, rationalise what they're spending and what they don't need to buy, and start to hold some of that money back, and get themselves out of debt if they can, and there's always ways of getting around different things. Hard work, no matter what you're doing, sometimes pays dividends. If you can't get the salary you want, go out and do something, if you can, to earn some money. If there's money coming in at any rate, it's still going to be an investment. So you're not in a debt situation. All right, if you've got a mortgage, that's a different sort of ball game. But if you can still make some money, you've got some chance of getting out of it. Just throwing your hands up in despair, so I can't get a salary at 35, 45, 55, whatever it happens to be. So take action now.
And I mean, we've been discussing doom and gloom and scary, you know, scenarios. Let's move it to a more positive space now and discuss a little bit about these things. So, for instance, you know, you want to break down your financial life. So you've got your income, you know what's coming in, your expenses, and then investment. So growing what you've got saved. So if we can use an example, someone that's in a bad situation, in a kind of bad case scenario, where you're in debt and you're employed. So first of all, you want to prioritize getting rid of this debt.
Yes.
Because the debt's not going to go away.
No.
And what debt means is being tied down in the future.
Yeah.
You have obligations that are not going to go away by just paying off these obligations.
No.
You're going to have to pay the obligations, the interest, and start reducing the debt.
Yes.
And that way you unshackle yourself from the interest burden.
That's right, because people have the credit cards, don't they? Say, oh, I'll just pay the interest this month, I'll pay the interest then. And it just grows.
Yeah,
And especially we were talking earlier on about short-term loans.
Mm.
You know, the amazing interest rates. I try to look at the screen and go, that can't be 1,275 and I'm only borrowing £300, but I'm going to pay back all that much. It's waking up to that idea of getting rid of those high interest loans if possible. And obviously what would be savings, then you have a choice of either just saving that, as I called it, for a rainy day, or then taking those savings, growing them, and seeing people like yourself to invest it in the right returns, so there is something to grow from what they've got, because quite clearly the banks and the building societies, and there's probably no difference between them these days, are not giving interest rates.
No,
they're giving you a clue, you can have this interest rate, but you've got to put a lot more money into it. And it's not. It's just reinvesting in the wrong way.
So here's a quick tip: if you're in debt with multiple,
consolidate.
Focus on paying off the high interest rate debt first.
Right.
So focus if you've
take
got
the biggest one, and work your way down.
If you've got a loan 5% and another one of 4%, focus on the 5% first. Try and get rid of that.
I understand that. I jumped in very quickly, like a lot of other people do, and said, because they do offer those consolidation loans, where they take all your bad ones, bad debts, put it together, and you start paying those people off. But that ends up like another mortgage if you're not careful. And I'm not fully convinced with people remortgaging their properties for easy money, because they have nothing left at the end. Even if their pensions don't come up with it, they've got no price. If they downsize a 4-bedroom to a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, they can't do that because it doesn't belong to them anymore. So this remortgage seems to be something new that I've heard in the last maybe 10 or 20 years, I don't know. But it seems a lot of people are finding easy money through that, but they've got no future investments at all. What's your thoughts on those at all?
It can work in certain situations. So the way it would work to remortgage is if you buy a mortgage and you've got an agreement where you pay a reduced fixed rate for the first 5 years.
Yes.
And then it turns.
And you can pay for that, because I did that once.
Yeah. And then it changes to a variable rate.
Yes.
What you could do is after 5 years, it's going to go on to the variable rate, and that variable rate depends on the Bank of England rate and on different things. And the Bank of England rate usually depends on inflation. So just another tip: if inflation's going up, interest rates are probably going to go up as well. So after 5 years, you have a look. Go shop around, just like you were saying with the hotels, and just have a shop around. Go on the comparison websites, go compare or money saving expert, and have a look at the variable at the fixed rates.
Yes.
And if the fixed rates are less, so a variable rate would be high if the Bank of England rate is high.
Yes.
So if you start paying, the variable rate is 5%. You go and shop around to remortgage.
Yes.
And you find, for example, a mortgage where you can pay fixed for 5 years at 3%.
Yeah.
Then you're better off doing that and remortgaging, paying a lower rate for a fixed amount of time than paying a variable rate. Because remember, the more interest you pay, the less repayments or principal repayments you pay.
Yes.
So you want to be paying off the mortgage as quickly as possible and as furiously as possible.
Yes, and that's where endowment policies were trying to be the answer for it, but a repayment was the better option. Even though you might be paying more, you're not just paying that interest off, because I found that. I looked at it years ago and I thought, I haven't paid much off, I'm just paying this interest. So I thought, well, I'll take a chance and I'll swap it. And actually, as the years went on, I could see that decreasing. I thought, that looks a little bit better. I feel comfortable. I've taken control of that, not in the hope that the money invested at the end will pay off my mortgage, because so many didn't they?
No. Yeah, that was again mis-selling probably, or it wasn't a very valuable product. It didn't offer much value.
It was until they played with the monies and they lost the monies.
Yeah.
And they didn't lose, we lost.
Exactly. They didn't have to pay back their bonuses, all the money they made. So in that case, it would be beneficial to remortgage. If you can get your fixed payments down for another 5 years, you know what you're paying. And then after 5 years, have a look again. Because maybe if bank rates go down, then the variable rate is low. And usually you see with fixed payments, there's the repayment penalty. So if you're under a fixed payment agreement, you usually have maybe a condition where if you pay more than 10 or 20% of the value, the value of the loan,
yes,
you get a penalty charge. However, with the variable rate, usually they don't charge for overpayments.
Yeah.
So you look after and you keep continuing like this. You just need to. It only takes some work every 5 years.
Yeah.
Where your fixed payments are coming to an end.
Yes.
And you just need to shop around, have a look at what rate you'd get if you get a fixed payment mortgage for another 2 years or 5 years compared to the variable rate.
Yeah.
And if the variable rate is less, then you just let the fixed payment expire and go on to the variable rate, and you remain with your mortgage provider, and you just keep observing the market like that. But most or some people go for remortgages for other reasons, for different for different reasons, because they want more money every month.
They want it now,
exactly.
not at the end.
To consume more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that model also works with if people are car owners, and I talked about travel insurance as well, but definitely car owners get this for this, or even recovery breakdown as well. You look at what you get this for, I don't know, I'm guessing £28 a year or something like that. But when you see what you get for £28 and what you don't get, once you start looking at the smaller print, you realise that either, especially for car insurance or house insurance, you're going to pay more monies up front if this gets broken and that gets broken. So you've got to look at the variable rates they've set on the different, say, house insurances, how much you're going to pay for this, how much you're going to pay for that. It's sometimes really better to look at the small print and see its benefit. Even you're spending another £150 on this service, you're not paying so much money up front when things go wrong. So it's a balance between the two all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, and remember, you're now empowered. You live in the age of technology and the internet. They should be chasing after you, because they're all put together, generic competition. They all offer the same service, the same product. With the power of the internet, you can go to a bank and say, well, your competitor's charging that much. What can you do for me? What can you throw in home insurance? Could you? And if they say no, it's so easy. You don't even.
So well, I'm thinking of leaving you, and they go, let me see what I can do for you.
On the spot.
Yeah. And I did the same. You're quite right. I did the same with breakdown insurance. And I said, but if I pay the same amount, I can also get a guaranteed repair system for the car on warranty on parts.
Yeah.
You're not even offering that. And I said, I quoted a figure. I said, I'm looking for this figure. She said, well, funny you should say that. That's the figure we're going to offer you. And so they obviously look at the comparison websites, realise that you've been in the system for a long time, so you're not going to bother with them because it works.
Yeah.
You're not going to break a wheel at turning. But if you look at it, which we did, and then I phoned the director and I said, I don't want to pay that amount. She said, well, actually, that's the amount you can pay, and we'll give you it for that, but we'll add 2 more months on it, so we'll give you 14 months instead of 12 if you stay with us.
Brilliant. I think you've just come up with a new tool you can use. If you don't want to go through the hassle of doing the paperwork and changing to another provider, just do a quick search.
They still want your business.
Call them up and tell them your competitor's offering this much. Can you match it? They probably will.
Well, they said, well, I don't know if we could, but you do. You push them in. It was the exact same price based on another quote from another company, and plus to keep us, they give us another 2 months on top of that. Because I said, well, I can go there, and I'm going to get that as well. Oh, okay, let me see what I can do for you. You're a long-serving member. I said, why don't you give us that? Oh, well, we expect our customers to ring, which shows loyalty doesn't pay off.
And they're hoping you don't.
That's right. Made me think that. Blimey, I looked at my stuff a few years ago and done the same things. When I talk about mortgages and stuff like that, and even recently about home insurance and stuff, and other facilities that we're looking for. And I will question it. I will compare the market, Money Supermarket, all the other ones. But if I still don't like what I'm seeing, I'll phone the people. Yeah.
I think what is very pertinent and significant as well is people think of house prices in terms of their market value. So they'll go and ask for the price of this property, and if it costs 300,000.
Yeah.
But that's not the true cost,
no.
Because it depends on your mortgage.
Yes.
Because it can work out to be double that, depending on your deposit and the interest rate.
Yeah.
It's not just that.
What do the I don't know. I mean, I've not had a mortgage. I've not applied for a mortgage for years.
Yeah.
But you mentioned don't only go 2 times your salary.
Yeah.
And I can remember when I was doing it, because it was only me that had a mortgage to start with, and I was 3.75 times my salary.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that it seems like that's going to have to change, because you're not in the UK specifically. You're not going to find, value.
No.
For.
No, it's quite true actually, because I would love to live in Spain. We try to get to a little place called Alcudia in Mallorca, and I love going to this little quiet place. And I've always said to the wife, I said, those private buildings over there, I'd like one of those. All I need is an internet connection and just sit and work, and and you've got the sun, and you're an hour away from, hour and a bit away from the UK, and that would be my ideal sort of.
It's beautiful for quality of life. It's lovely. It's truly magical.
And the weather is so good, and obviously with what you do, all you need is an internet connection, and you're away, aren't you?
Yeah. And just a recent example was my friend. He's looking, Jesse. He's looking to buy a house, and he's got a mortgage he's looking at, and it's got a very good interest rate. It's fixed, I think, for 5 years, and it's around 2% or something like that. So that's historically low. You're not going to get lower than that. And he was telling me, the house is worth 300,000, something like that. But then when I asked him what are the mortgage payments, and I just did a quick calculation, mortgage payment times 12 to get the yearly payment times 35 years, it worked out to be 480,000. So it wasn't 300,000, it was 480,000.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
That is the cost. It's 300,000 if you're going to pay it upfront, cash.
Yes. But they're not giving the money away. That's how they get their interest.
Yeah. And I think there's a misperception of people renting gets an exaggerated bad rap, and buying houses gets an exaggerated positive.
Yeah, because you're spending money and they're getting your money.
Yeah.
And I found when I couldn't get back into the market, I had to buy shared ownership, and then I sold my part of my shared ownership on that house, which got me enough money to get a mortgage. And then worked it from there again. It was just, I couldn't get back into the market. I mean, the first time I got into the market was when I was 22. Yeah. And the only way I could buy, I bought a property, I had to do most of the work in it. I mean, I did all the plumbing, all the gas, rebuilt most of the walls on the inside, took chimneys down. But I was lucky I could do that. And that was the only way I could get on my foot on the property market. Yeah. But it was so hard then to get on that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's all that, to be honest, getting on the property ladder. I think there's a misconception, because people prioritise that and they tell themselves it's an investment. But why is it? First of all, there's massive risk with it, because you're investing in a single property, in a single town, in a single country. Yeah. If you wanted to invest in property, you could get a fund that invests in a myriad of properties. Yes. Office, public, housing. Different.
So if one goes down, you're still floating, because you're countries. Yeah, you're spreading your load, aren't you?
Yeah. So it's not an investment really. No. It's a very risky investment, and you could be better off renting if you set yourself up financially and you've tracked everything, and you see that net of the rent payments, you can still save, you can still invest.
You're right like that, because a lot of people buy property abroad either for holiday homes or that sort of thing. They're paying a lot of grain rates and service rates and bits and pieces. And even my wife said to me, I said, I'd love to buy one of those properties over there. She said, look, for the time we go out there, you might as well just rent it. Just because I think all the maintenance with it, you leave it for 10 months of the year, or maybe a little bit less or a bit more, and you're paying off that doing nothing. And people got caught in that, didn't they, for years.
And it's not liquid. You can't just buy and sell. You can't sell it next day.
No.
So if we compare two people, someone's really impatient and wants to get on the property ladder, has barely any savings, so gets a very bad deal with a mortgage company, high rate, very big loan to value, with someone else who rents and saves their money, invests it safely, and then after say 5 years or 7 years, and also works on the income side of things. So whether that's doing online business on the side, or being savvy, asking for promotions, shopping around in the job market. Similar to what we were discussing with insurance companies. I get paid this much at the moment. What can you offer me if I move to you guys, and keep doing that? Yeah. Maybe after 7 years, the original person on the property ladder is still paying, a bad deal.
Yeah, or maybe just paying the interest off, or
exactly.
in some
this
ways,
person,
it's got capital.
Exactly, and then they can get a better mortgage, a better deal, a bigger deposit, and you know, they'll end up over time paying off their mortgage before
the other one who's still just paying that increment of interest off.
Yeah, yeah. And if they've invested, you know, with your investments, you can get your money in 2 working days. It's liquid. It's not like a property in Spain, in Mallorca, where it may take months before you sell it.
Yes, and that's what's happened a lot in Spain, isn't it? You know, with the Brits going and buying all these properties out there, and then it just crashes, and they just can't get rid of the places.
Yeah. So and just a little. It needs a little patience.
Yeah, but it needs an understanding. It needs your clarity to actually make it obvious that's not obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I wish it didn't need it. I wish we lived in a society where, you know, finance didn't need to exist in its complex form in the way it is now. Where your salary was enough, where companies looked after you once you retired. I think it's a better quality of life. Yeah.
What's the culture in other countries? Are they all? I mean, you've travelled a little bit. What's your experience? Are we any different than the States or the Netherlands? Or, you know, there's got to be some changes. I mean, in interest rates, but in concepts of people with their monies and buying things or not buying things.
Yeah, yeah. I would say we're the closest to the US in Europe.
All right.
When it comes to capitalism, free market, the idea of the poor, the unemployed deserve it. They are the weak. This is a competition. Only the strong survive.
Yes.
That kind of, you know, dog eat dog mentality. We're the closest to the US in terms of that. In Spain, people have, I would say, the financial infrastructure is not as good as in the UK, and people aren't, you know, they don't have access as much as we do here. But it's cheaper. It's much cheaper. Yeah,
I mean, when I watch these programs like A Place in the Sun or something like that, my goodness, is that all that is?
Yeah.
Or in America now, you look at, I mean, I know some of the programs can be 2 or 3 years old, but you look at what they're getting, the only difference is a lot of them are wooden structures.
Yeah.
And that's cheaper to build, whereas if you've got solid brick and another layer, obviously a lot of housing developments now use a lot of studding and just put a surface brick on the outside, and you don't get much insurance on the inside. You get less than 15 years on the damp courses and things like that, whereas brick properties that have been around for years stay around for years. The others is wooden, you know, gets dampness and that's it, you've had it. Water down brick, it'll dry out, water down wood, it'll swell.
Yeah, and another thing, Adrian, is in as I was saying, because we're closer to the US in terms of our capitalism, I've noticed that countries like Greece and Spain and Italy, the state system is stronger in its support.
Right.
It offers more support.
Yeah.
When it comes to retirement, when it comes to, you know, benefits and things like that. Offers
so we should retire to Spain, should we?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Have the weather, wouldn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Food, nice prices.
Oh yeah, I know. I just love it. If I could do more out there, I would.
Yeah.
And I find the power of the internet so useful for some of the work that I will do. You know, if I need to Skype someone or whatever connection is, they can be anywhere. Just get the right time zone and away you go and talk to them, and it's getting more and more like that way.
It's perception as well. It's perception. Like, I've only been here a few months since coming back from Spain, or from traveling after Spain, and you see it here. It's very clear. It's very palpable. The way the competition. You know, you feel like you have to get a car, you have to get a house, you have to get the nicest shoes, you have to have the best phone. Security officers, bin men, they're the bottom of society. You know. Whereas in Spain, it's more equal in a way.
More cultural.
Yeah. So like if you're a bin man in Spain, I mean nothing wrong with that. If you're a bin man in Spain, you won't get that negative stereotype.
No, it's the altered ego through fear, I guess, and what the culture's been teaching you. And if you run on that little wheel that's called the rat race, the more you want, the more you get, and so forth. Yeah. And I can relate to that in some ways. Sadly, I don't do it now, but I used to relate to it. I used to get a good salary, and I'd be embarrassed sometimes to look at my bank account, but I wasn't really saving it. Yeah, well, I was saving it, but I wasn't doing anything with it, anything constructive. You know, at the time I was on my own, so I'm looking at this salary thinking, well, that's pretty good. And they'd say, how much you want? I'll have that. Yeah, okay, we'll pay you that. And you do this job, long hours, but you know, there's got to be a balance in life, and that's the bit where I've left 20 odd years ago, away from the IT sector and all the things like looking after companies. Have a different customer base, and it's a far more job satisfaction because you're connecting with people more and you're not hitting the bottom line. That's not that important.
Yeah.
It is to get by, but we can all get by. You cut your cost or cut your cloth accordingly, as they say.
Yeah.
You can still get by and be happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the best BMW or whatever happens on the drive, you know. I've got something that's 11 years old and it's a good old battle wagon and it's still clean, it's still tidy.
Yeah, yeah.
My wife says I pay too much attention to it, always keeping it clean, but it keeps it together.
I read in a book that 3 to 5 years is the magic number, because it's got that brand new feeling to it, low mileage, but the value drops after 3 years significantly. Or
as soon as you take it out of a showroom, you lost £1,000 without trying.
Yeah, yeah.
So no, I think like you and me, I don't want the lace and grace. If it was a company car, I would have had it, but at this time, if it's reliable and goes, and it's clean and tidy, that suits me.
Yeah, yeah. And in Spain, people focus more on the beach, my vacation, dining out,
they're living,
doing sport. Whereas here, I think it's more consumption based.
Well, yeah, because it's very much like, I can remember when I was a lot younger, you live to work. Now I work to live.
Yeah, yeah.
So I still want to work, earn money, at least to pay for some things. And I'm very, I noticed in your book it was talking about, how much are you spending on meals and bits and pieces, that sort of thing. Well, we don't. Yeah. We very rarely do that. If it's a birthday, maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So we're not spending that. So when we have a holiday, we can have a good holiday because we're not spending it.
Healthier as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours, but I've got another appointment to go to. But I've really enjoyed talking with you today because I love your knowledge. It's clear, it's precise, and it's giving hope for people who haven't got a lot of money, me included, that you can just take that money and you can do something with it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you have to. You have to. What other option do you have?
Yeah. And I'd just like to thank Chris for finding you, because he's the talent scout. He finds people that are of interest, and I really want to, if you've got some links about what you're doing, your talks, I'd love to see that.
No, I'd be glad to keep in touch.
Because I think really, you're going places because you care about who you work with, as in investments and stuff like that. You'll take your percentage because you're due a percentage. You can't do it for nothing. Yeah. But you're not hoodwinking people. You're getting it for the right reasons. Yeah, yeah. So I really wish you well with that. And I want to see your talks, because you said you were nervous. You weren't. Once you got into your subject, bang, we are in. And that was great, because you've got a love for it, you've got a zest for it, and you can see where society are going wrong. Omar, it's been good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time, and I really wish you well on your business. I don't know how you relax in life, play tennis or travel or go and live in another country, but you're so enthusiastic about what you want to do, and I wish you all the best with it. So
I appreciate it.
Hopefully you'll come back, and I'm looking forward to seeing those talks that you're going to put out there, because I think that will sell. Get your structure together if you haven't already got it, and get your people working for you, because I think business is coming your way.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful.